2 years ago, I decided to go all in on running and see how far the train harder, not smarter method could take me. Believe it or not, since tripling my weekly mileage and averaging over 30 kilometers a day, the word injury has ceased to exist in my vocabulary. That is, until now. That fateful day has finally come. The marathon monk has been broken, so where do we go from here? So I've discussed my unorthodox injury prevention methods in other videos, but basically to sum it up, injuries are a mindset. Push through the pain until your body adapts. This philosophy had somehow worked up until now, and I managed to push through every little niggle, ache and pain while absolutely hammering the high mileage without a rest day in sight. And this consistency over time, just knocking out back-to-back 1000k months, resulted in a 2:14 PB at the Tokyo Marathon just recently. But unfortunately, it came at a price, my left knee. So straight after the marathon, once I'd finally regained consciousness, come back around, I started feeling this pain in my knee, just like when we were walking around. And this is obviously to be expected. Like after a marathon, I'm used to being absolutely battered, like my quads and stuff. Like if I wasn't hurting after a marathon, I'd be disappointed. It means I haven't pushed it hard enough. So it's a good sign that my body's ruined. And I'm used to constantly running through pain, little aches and niggles here and there, but within a few days, everything usually clears up. Like I've literally ran through all these small little problems and none of them have actually turned into injuries over the last 2 years. So I assumed, yeah, this is just going to be the exact same. Now later in the video, I'll be showing my strengthening routine that helped me stay injury free up until now and able to run through all these pains. But the post-Tokyo recovery hasn't quite gone to script and I started building back up. So the day after the marathon, I got back out there for a little jog. I hobbled around Yoyogi Park and built it up over the next few days, kind of 8k, 10k, 12k. And the quad tiredness was getting better, but actually my knee just kept getting progressively worse. And I started thinking, wait, hang on, this actually could be something a little worse, a little more sinister, because usually within a few days, all these small problems have sorted out. But this was getting to the point where I'd run and then afterwards I'd be like limping around just walking. So eventually I caved in, took a rest day. Usually one rest day is enough for me. Like even that is a stretch. I've taken like a handful of rest days at most over these last 2 years since I've been running properly. I absolutely hate it. I think when you're used to doing like 3-4 hours of exercise every day and just like my body's so used to moving that when I do stop, everything stiffens up and it means coming back to running is always horrendous. So I took a day off, tried running again, no luck, had to go back to the rest day and 1 turned into 2 and then 3. So it felt like I was literally starting again from scratch. I tried a few runs back because my knee seemed like it had cleared up. It was fine walking. After a couple of days, I went out for a 20k easy run, which felt like a tempo. Like, I'm not even joking, 430 kilometers felt like I was actually sprinting. My heart rate, it got up to like 160 by the end. The road to sub 3 hours was gonna have to be the next marathon goal. But then even that was off the table because after that run, I was absolutely ruined. I couldn't leave my house to just walk to a coffee shop. I tried walking 10 meters down the road and my legs absolutely gone, just completely stiffened up. And so the pain I'm feeling is like right under my kneecap, like trying to bend my leg is impossible. I can't even stretch my quads at the moment because it just compresses my patella. So that's what I think this is basically. So it's a patella injury. All the symptoms are pointing that direction, like that dull ache right under the kneecap. And it's especially bad trying to go up and down stairs or on those downhills. So I've come to the unfortunate realization that this is an injury that I can't run through. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I finally met my match when it comes to injuries. Now I've lived next to Yoyogi Park for the last 1.5 years. I've come here basically every single day, but I'm pretty sure today is the first time I've ever come here and not been running. It's my classic easy run spot, session spot. I've knocked out marathons around here, but I've never just been on a little stroll, so this feels very wrong. I've had to give up my throne, the undisputed king of Yoyogi. It's there for the taking. Anyone who wants it, get out there and smash some laps. Because for now I'm out of action, but I'm going to be back for revenge very soon. Now you've probably noticed by now that my family are no longer here. They made a special guest appearance in the last couple episodes, and I'm surprised everyone seemed to love the family content, but finally I've managed to get rid of them. At last, got some peace and quiet. I'll leave you with this final footage though for this week's Scran to Japan segment as they review the Japanese cuisine. Favorite food in Japan so far?
What was it called? Tonkatsu?
Tonkatsu.
Pork with the cabbage. Oh, obviously, cloud pancake.
Okay, and least favourite food in Japan. Sounds like there's a lot to pick from in this category.
For some reason, I voluntarily ate a fish eyeball, and it was like crunchy, and it was really actually upset me for a couple of days.
A local delicacy. Exquisite. All right, Archie, I've asked you already. Favourite food in Japan so far?
Ramen and beef that we had.
Okay, that was a winner. And least favourite?
The sushi, for sure.
What? That you're going to insult their national dish?
Don't really like raw fish.
None of these guys like fish. It's a slight problem coming to Japan. Mom, favourite food in Japan?
Food. Hida beef strips.
Okay.
Kanazawa.
And least favourite food?
That snail. I can't believe that
Snail
I did
is
that.
unreal.
The texture to sort of crunch through it and pull through it, and the way I had to pull it out of its shell and it curled and curled and curled. It was so disgusting.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. It was an absolute treat. Now that's enough food chat. Back to this crippled knee of mine. Now I was having to think about what could have caused this injury because it kind of seems like it just came out of nowhere. You hear the classic saying, people talking about running's bad for your knees, like there's no way I'll be able to walk when I'm 30. Well, clearly that's a load of absolute bollocks because most of the time marathon runners are the most active elderly people you ever see. So clearly that myth has been debunked. And since going all in on the mileage, running like 250k weeks, I've had absolutely no problems with my knees. So literally the first time I felt it was straight after the marathon. Basically, once I'd regained consciousness, the adrenaline had worn off and I could start feeling things again in my body. That's when the knee kicked in. So it's definitely something to do with Tokyo Marathon itself. And I ran the race in these shoes, so the Adidas Pro 4. I'd set all my recent PBs in the silver colorway, like same shoe. So a bit of superstition, I felt like I had to just stick with them. So before I'd always ran in the Alpha Fly 3s for the marathon. And the thing with these ones, they've got a bit of a higher heel drop. I think it's like 10 millimeters compared to the Adidas is maybe 6 or 8 or something. And I've always had problems with my calves. That's always been my weakness. So I was a little worried when I saw the heel drop on those because the flatter your shoes are, the more strain it's going to put on calves and Achilles, which is my danger zone. So when I was wearing these Adidas ones, I ended up putting these little heel cups in to basically raise my heel up. I don't know, what's that, 5 millimeters maybe? So I've added that on top and I've ended up with a pretty high stack shoe. So the idea of that was to protect my calves. But then as well with Tokyo Marathon, so the first like 6k or so is pretty much downhill. Then I've got these shoes which are pretty angled themselves. And those two factors are just going to put more and more pressure on your knees and your quads. And I said after, this was the worst I'd ever felt after a marathon in terms of the quad pain. And I think what made it so much worse was my form just falling apart in that last kind of 5-10k. Like when I start blacking out, losing memory, if you watch the videos as well, I start looking more and more ragged, just my body shutting down, and my knee was probably getting more and more unstable as my running form just went all over the place. And from reading online, a lot of the time the patella pain is caused by weakness and tightness in that quad area. So what I think's happened is my quad's been absolutely obliterated, which has ended up pulling right on my knee on my patella and caused this injury here. So if I can't get my 3 hours of daily exercise in, then instead I'm just going to have to rehab like an absolute machine. Just spend that time trying to build up the strength in my legs, my quads, my glutes, so it can take the pressure off that knee and I can get back to running as soon as possible. So I've done all the research online and put together a foolproof patella rehab program. So that means some of my previous race prizes, the uncut bags of rice, are going to come in clutch here. We've got a 2kg and 5kg bag that's going to go straight in my backpack. That's going to be the weight. My home gym is going to be put to heavy use over these next few weeks. So just how downhills were the cause of this injury, they're also the cure. And I bought this little device here to stretch my calves, but apparently you can also use it for the quads. So I'm going to stand on it backwards, so I'm at that downhill slant. Then I'm getting into a squat position and that basically loads the quads, which we're trying to strengthen up. Oh yeah, I can feel the burn. So the other one they recommend is this wall sit here that you're meant to be able to get up to 3 minutes hold. It's ridiculously hard though. So today I've got the timer going. That's the challenge. I've got to see this as my session. While I can't smack the running times, I've got to be able to smack this rehab. Right, I'm already feeling the burn. We're only 50 seconds in and my quads are on fire. Oh, Quadzilla has been well and truly broken. The thunder thighs are shot. Oh, I think this might be worse pain than the marathon. I said that was the worst pain I'd ever experienced. Last 5k of Tokyo. I think this right here is even worse. Oh, 10 seconds. Oh, hell, my knee. Oh my God, I was getting lightheaded at the end of that. I think my quads are so damaged still from Tokyo. And as soon as I popped back up, my knee was killing. I don't know if that's a good thing. I guess maybe that means it's being worked, it's getting stronger. So as well as adding these specific patella exercises, I've doubled down on the S&C, plyometrics, core, all that other stuff that I normally do. Because I definitely feel like they've played some part in me being so durable and able to just smash the high mileage. And the stronger, more explosive my legs can get, then that's only going to help in the marathon and over the shorter distances with my speed. And I've always known that my glutes and hips have been particularly weak. Like I had to have hip surgery before from a torn hip labrum, and I think that was caused by my glutes just not activating. I'm the ultimate quad heavy runner, so I've been trying to balance it out with all these other exercises. And I'd recommend if you're trying to build up the mileage as well, then you can't neglect this stuff. I probably spend at least 10 hours a week doing stuff outside of running. On top of the 20 hours I'm putting in pounding pavements, it's all this other stuff behind the scenes and focusing so much on the recovery that lets me hit that big mileage. So I managed to make it through stage 1 of the rehab, pain-free, so that's the static exercises. Now I've headed outside to hit up the more explosive stuff and we'll see if my knee can handle that. Now I've somehow made it through all of those exercises that I thought might take days, even like weeks maybe, to progress through them. But I wasn't actually getting too much pain. I even did the single leg stuff, which like specifically targets that weak knee. And it doesn't feel any worse now than it did before. But I think this one's a little deceptive because I thought the same thing after those 3 rest days. Like I felt absolutely fine, no problem. And even went out for that run, like 20K, got it done, tiny bit of an ache during it. But then it was after the running that it properly kicked in. But I've learnt my lesson from last time, so I'm not just going to be going in smacking a 20K tomorrow morning. I think first I want to get some long walks in. That'll be the next step. So things are still a bit uncertain. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back to actual running, which isn't ideal seeing as my whole YouTube channel is based around it. But fear not, the YouTube channel's not coming to an early end. Maybe this thing is just a short-term little hiccup. I'll be back to running next week. But if not, then I'm thinking I might just start focusing more on the Japanese running scene. And there was a pretty interesting article that I read this week that I thought I'd touch on. So I've got to give a shout out to the website Japan Running News because that's where I saw this. I actually check it basically daily because it's pretty much the only place you can get articles in English about the running scene. But this one was about a marathon runner called Tsubasa Ichiyama, and he was the first Japanese guy at the Tokyo Marathon. He came in at 2:06 flat, so an absolutely rapid time. But what makes this interesting is that he's not even really a pro runner. Like you could maybe call him semi-pro because he's working 4 days a week, so close to full time. And this isn't uncommon at all. And like I've talked about the Jitsu Gyodan, so these company sponsored teams, and it's a massive reason why the Japan running scene's so deep because you've got like 1,000 of these guys sponsored, supported. But until moving here, I didn't properly realize that they're not like pro runners in the West. Like all the Americans, Europeans, Aussies, those guys that are sponsored by like Nike, Adidas, the shoe companies, all they have to worry about is running. Like after their morning run, they can put their feet up, watch Netflix all day, and then just get out for their second evening run. But these Japanese guys, most of them are working probably 6 hours a day at least, like in the office after their morning training. So it's very different lifestyle. And it all depends on a company, like how many hours they actually get. But it made me think this can't be ideal for running performers. Like if they could sack off work and just live like a pro runner, you'd think that would make such a big difference. And it's something I want to dive into in depth in next week's video. And so even if I'm not running at the moment, there's still some good chat to be had. And also this little setback just adds to the storyline. Like it can't all be going well. I need that comeback story. So obviously I'll be documenting this whole process. But this has been Jake with Ran to Japan. I'll catch you in the next one. Remember, train harder, not smarter.